We are ready and we are happy to take on this challenge.
Next to Stephen Harper, Elizabeth May has the most experience running a national campaign. This is her third one, and she's already crisscrossed the country looking to get Greens in Ottawa. This week, she unveiled her full platform, and there's lots in it. A national pharmacare program, free university tuition, legalizing marijuana, and ending all fossil fuel use by mid-century. We met at the Toronto Botanical Gardens.
So, 70% of Canadians, so the polls say, want change.
Right.
If they really want change, there's probably no other party, most people feel, that will give real change than the Green Party. Yet you're still mired in single digits, low in single digits. How do you square that?
We're high in double digits in parts of the country where we will elect Greens, like Vancouver Island and British Columbia and in other locations. The reality of the Green Party is that we're a party committed to bringing forward big ideas, new ideas, and demonstrating by our conduct in Parliament and through the election that we really want to work for Canadians, work across party lines, work across jurisdictions. And since we're looking at a minority parliament, real change comes from having an ingredient in that mix that makes it work.
But what is the reality in terms of possibilities for the Greens this time around? I mean, what are we talking about? A handful of seats?
We're talking about a minority parliament where the Canadians can have the choice of 1 to 2 years of fractious partisan sniping that doesn't get much done. Or with enough Greens elected, we could have 4 years of productive, deliberative, respectful parliament. In terms of the number of seats, a lot more than now.
What are we talking about? Realistically, you know, in your best dreams, what are you looking at?
Best dreams, 30.
But realistic.
Realistic, 12 to 15.
You say minority parliament. Some people who want to see the Conservatives lose say the chances would be better if there weren't spoilers in the race, and look at the Greens as potential spoilers. Not in those seats that you might win, but in seats where you're not going to win, but you are going to take votes away from either the NDP or the Liberals. Are you a spoiler?
No, I think people need to actually look at history. You say potential, but if you look at 2008, the year when we did our best results, we were about 1 million votes across Canada. That's the year that Harper was held to a minority. When we were decimated in 2011 by being kept out of the leaders' debates, our vote dropped to 400,000. That's the year Stephen Harper managed to gain a false majority government.
But in both cases, Stephen Harper wins.
My point is that when Greens do well, Conservatives don't. And
but they still won. They still won a minority, even in the year that you did so well.
Well, I disagree with the term win in terms of a minority. The opposition parties have a choice. I don't like it when we skip that step of saying to the Governor General, wait a minute, let's see who can hold the confidence of the House, and we think we can do a better job for longer.
I'm assuming from everything you've said so far that the best result for you, forget about what number of seats you get, is a minority government of some sort. It's minority.
I think that's the best result for Canada.
No, but it's also the best result for the Greens, because then you feel that you can play a role in determining what happens after that. Any type of coalition, formal or informal, would likely have to involve the NDP and the Liberals. And the way they talk about each other, that's never going to happen.
It's the way they talk about each other. I think the math will change things. Depending on the math and the seat counts after the election, I certainly will attempt to try to get them. Maybe I'll be a mediator, a matchmaker, some kind of helpful solve over their wounds to say, look, guys, can't we work together? And wouldn't it be better for Canada if we work together?
Is that what you're really running for? To be that person?
I'm running to I don't want to be any one person in the next Parliament. I want a group of Green MPs.
But you're also saying you want to be the mediator, the peacemaker, the deal maker between those who want to bring down the Conservatives.
Well, the Conservative Party is unlikely to have more seats than the others at the end of the next election. Should Mr. Harper have a few more seats than the other parties, I will call the Governor General and say we need time as opposition party leaders to discuss whether we can offer our head of state.
Why would he take your call, the Governor General?
Actually, Peter, when I went to the election night party May 2nd, 2011, and I didn't at that point have any expectations of winning more than my own seat, I had the phone number for Rideau Hall with me so that I could put in that call that night if it was a minority parliament, that Stephen Harper and Conservatives would not again form government with a minority simply because the NDP and the Liberals were paralyzed by their hyper-partisan dislike for each other. We need to do the people's work. That includes getting out of a recession. That includes action on the climate crisis. We can't afford to wait. And I believe that we will govern better when we govern together.
So I assume you still have that phone number in your pocket.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll have a lot more MPs to buttress the argument when I talk to the Governor General.
Well, let's talk about bottom line in terms of policy. So if you're in that position, the one you want to be in, where you could be holding the balance of power.
Yes.
What are your bottom lines? I mean, you've outlined your program,
Yeah.
And it's extensive, wide-ranging, and expensive.
Well, we pay for it.
Well, you've costed it out, and there'll be arguments about that costing. But nevertheless, it's there, from the National Pharmacare Program to free tuition to ending oil production by the middle of the century, a variety of different things. Are all those bottom line positions?
No, where I think, and it's an absolutely fair question, and I should also clarify that in this discussion that I want to have with the Liberals and the Democrats, I'm not angling to get the Green Party into their coalition. I prefer the Greens to remain an opposition party that's able to hold the government to account. Well, in terms of what's our bottom line, it's if you do these things, we won't bring your government down. That's what we need, and I think that relationship probably existed between Lester B. Pearson and Tommy Douglas in the late 60s, and that's why we have universal public health care system. That's why we have Canada Pension
Okay, well, let's get to what would be the things that they would have to do that would give you that promise to them that you wouldn't bring them down.
Short list: get rid of first past the post, bring in proportional representation, repeal Bill C-51, reduce the powers of the Prime Minister's office because they are illegitimate and unhealthy, and real climate action. Beginning the day after the election, we have to get to work to prepare for the deadline negotiations that will take place in Paris.
Both Mr. Trudeau and Mr. Mulcair say they would go to Paris. Is that a step in the right direction, or is that just talk?
They'll go to Paris, all right. But unless there's a lot of Greens elected, we won't make a difference when we get there. I want Canada to go to those negotiations not as a constructive partner. I want us to go to be the leader that actually brings the whole process to a real conclusion that's ambitious and more aggressive than anything that's currently being planned.
Let me do what I did with the other leaders in terms of going through a checklist on some very current issues that the Liberals and the NDP both say that they may impact right away if they achieved office. So I ask you these questions in terms of whether you would support or what you would expect to happen if one of those parties achieve power, or if together they achieve power.
Yeah.
So this is pretty straightforward. It's kind of a yes or no.
Okay.
All right. if you get what I mean. The TFSAs, the tax-free savings accounts.
Leave them at 5,000.
Leave them at 5, so don't take that extra step.
Exactly.
Universal child care benefit.
Absolutely keep it.
As is universal, everybody. The GST, do you touch that?
No. We are taking 1 point of existing levels of GST to put them into municipal infrastructure on top of the gas tax. So that's about $6.4 billion a year that will go into municipal infrastructure. But we don't touch the rate of GST.
Income splitting.
We remove income splitting for anyone other than seniors. The pension income splitting, seniors income splitting remains. But that program is just too expensive to be able to bring in. Unless you have another source of revenue to cover it, it doesn't make sense.
Small business tax rate.
We believe the small business tax rate should be 9%.
So a drop in that.
A drop.
Big corporate taxes.
Big corporate taxes should return to what they were in 2009, which is 19%. Bearing in mind that in the year 2000 they were 28%, we think 19% is reasonable. It's certainly unreasonable currently at 15%.
You watched the interviews with the other three leaders.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether there was anything that was said in those that makes you think, well, maybe I can work with them a little more than I thought I could.
You see, there's so much attention on the personality of the leaders, and I think that's a problem in our system. The real question is...
Your party is your personality.
No, it's Claire Martin, and it's Lynn Cornby, and it's Joanne Roberts, and it's Gordon Miller.
I know you want to get those names out there, but for the most part, for most Canadians, The Green Party is Elizabeth May.
Well, that's a problem of the way, again, that's a function of what I just mentioned, which is the focus is too much on leaders. But the reality of it is, the personality of the leaders of other parties is not whether I can work with them or not as people. It's what does their party want to do in public policy terms.
Let me ask you the last question, and I asked the various leaders this question, the other leaders, but in a way you've already basically argued you're not going to be in that same position. There's no way you're going to end up as Prime Minister.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Well, you
suggested
your goal.
Hell of a TV movie. How the Green Party leader in Canada became Prime Minister. It could happen under our parliamentary system.
Anything could happen,
That's
especially
right.
in this election.
Yes.
But you basically suggested your goal is to be the peacemaker, the deal maker, to try and get in there with the other parties. So what is it that Elizabeth May thinks about herself that could suggest she could be that person?
Well, I'm the hardest working person you're ever going to meet. I believe in this country and I love Canada, and I know how to forge...
They all love Canada, don't they? Don't they?
We have different... Let's say there are nuances of difference of how we see Canada among the four leaders of all of us. But yes, loving Canada is rather a precondition for wanting to be in Parliament in the first place. Commitment to the country. But beyond that, what I bring to it is that I'm good at forging consensus. I don't like kneecapping the other guys. I never speak ill of any of them. In Parliament, I've worked across the parties. I've never heckled once. I believe in finding the good in everyone, bringing that out and saying, can't we forge a political consensus here so that we're not using Parliament as a place to continue to cross swords, but as a place to roll up our sleeves and do the work the people want us to do. And I'm definitely the best qualified to do that.
Ms. May, thank you so much.
Thank you.